Hey, this is Gina Grad.
Hi, this is Teresa Strasser.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Errico.
Hey there, this is Casey Cavalier.
I'm Rocky Rose.
And you are listening to The Jay Franzi Show.
Lucky you.
Welcome to The Jay Franzi Show. A behind-the-curtain look at the entertainment industry with insights you can't pay for and stories you've never heard. Now, here's your host, Jay Franzi.
Well, hello, and welcome to the show. I am Jay Franzi, and this is your backstage pass to the music industry. This week, we get to talk with an amazing tribute band. We get to talk with Jim and Jessica from Carrie'd Away. We'll talk to them about how location plays a part in their world, why a Carrie Underwood tribute band is needed, and well, we'll discuss the difference between playing in a cover band versus a tribute band. Now, I cannot wait to talk with them tonight, so if you would like to join in, comment, or fire off any questions, please head over to jfranzi.com. Now, let's get started. All right, let's just jump into this. Let's start with location. You guys are in Ohio. How does that play into what you're doing?
We're in Cincinnati, which is what I feel like is pretty central to, I guess, like the Midwest, which kind of plays into country music following, country music fans. We have a huge country music festival here in Cincinnati, so we're able to kind of route our traveling. We're going to New York this summer, hopefully getting down to St. Louis. So really just trying to get out of Cincinnati, but still kind of staying where we're routing centrally from here.
All right, so let's go ahead and, I guess, set the scene here. The band is called Carrie'd Away, so why don't we start by the name? It kind of insinuates something, but I'll let you tell it. So where does the name come from?
So we are a tribute to Carrie Underwood, who I feel like is probably the most powerhouse female voice in country music. And the name Carrie'd Away, we came up with the idea for a Carrie Underwood tribute. I've sang country music my whole life, and Carrie Underwood was always a huge inspiration and really like what I modeled a lot of like my vocal techniques after while I was growing up watching American Idol. So we knew that it just kind of fit my voice, and I get told a lot that, oh, you look like Carrie Underwood, you sound like Carrie Underwood. So we had this idea to do this tribute band of Carrie Underwood, and I don't even remember where we were. We were playing a festival out in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, as our cover band called Hi-Fi Honey. And I happened to like look up at like a sign of like a salon or something, and it had the name Carried in it, and it just came to me, the Carried Away name, and it just kind of fits perfect.
Have you ever thought of being on American Idol?
So I did American Idol when I was 16. Yeah, so back then the age limit, you had to be 16, and the summer I turned 16, my mom promised me, I'll take you. Ended up going to LA, which was super exciting. I sang a Martina McBride song called Independence Day, which was really exciting. And yeah, have I ever thought about going back? No, it's not really my cup of tea now, but, well, and I'm past the age limit now. I think the cutoff is like 30, so
whoa,
a couple years
past. The cutoff was 20, yes, that's what I will say.
Is it 20?
No, I'm just trying to help you out. I'm trying to make it so you're not telling everybody you're over 30.
Yeah, no, they raised it, but yeah, so I, when I was 16, I did that, and it was, yeah, a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and that was shortly after Carrie Underwood's season, so yeah.
All right, so you talk about Carrie Underwood, and you say you went to American Idol, and you sang Martina McBride. So obviously those are two powerhouse singers. So is this something that you've always strived to be, as another powerhouse singer?
Yes. So the belting and like really kind of like the not easy songs to sing, those are always kind of my favorite ones. I've always liked a challenge. I also grew up in pageants, and I competed in the Miss Kentucky scholarship organization pageants growing up. And a lot of times you see singers sing, Broadway or opera and I would walk in there and sing these powerhouse country songs, and it always, worked out in my favor. So it's always just been kind of my niche, I guess.
Your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Do you ever find it to be challenging?
Yes. Especially, so one thing about me, when it comes to like show season or busy season for us, I kind of become a little bit of a hermit. I don't go out many places. I don't socialize. I don't go in big crowds, because singing those songs with any type of illness, sickness, respiratory sinus, it's impossible. I mean, if you don't have the breath, and if you don't have not only the breath, but even just like, I think what a lot of folks outside of the music industry don't understand is that the work off the stage is so much more important than the work on the stage. Your stamina, getting your breathing down, making sure cardio wise, I mean, if you get up there and you're out of shape, you're not going to be able to push those notes out. So challenging, yes, but again, I really like a challenge. In a way, it kind of makes me feel like I can sing songs that not everybody can sing. So it's something that I can set myself apart with.
Does it ever scare you?
Yes.
So how do you get through that?
Honestly, I think it's just, there's no better feeling than finishing a show, like a Carrie Underwood show, knowing that there aren't many people out there that could do that, and kind of just that like feeling that you feel of accomplishing something. So in my mind, it really is a mindset. It's, I'm setting my mind to this and I'm doing it. And I'm not going to lie, when we announced this tribute band, a lot of my friends who are singers, who are musicians, actually said, hey, I don't know if this is a great idea. This is a lot. These are hard songs to sing. And even our bass player even was like, hey, these are really difficult songs. We have to make sure that we can nail all of these. So I think it's just a mindset of, oh yeah, I can definitely do this. And being scared, I think, just means that I'm still excited about what I do. I don't ever want there to be a show that I'm not nervous at, or that I'm not a little bit scared, because I want to know that I'm pushing myself.
Well, that's all fear is. It's just excitement. So
Yeah.
we just rechannel it into excitement. So you mentioned stamina and health. So what do you do to stay healthy and keep up your stamina?
So I'm a big proponent of, honestly, just like old-fashioned fitness goals. I love to walk on the treadmill. I honestly will do a 30-minute to 60-minute walk, and most of the time I'll call him and we'll talk about business things as I'm walking, at an incline 12 at 3 speed or 3 miles per hour speed, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I promise you, if you try it, it is a lot. And I'll talk to him or, talk to somebody on the phone with my headphones in as I'm doing this, because not only does it build my stamina by actually doing the workout, but talking along with it helps you get a very healthy breathing pattern, which is really important. And then my other favorite thing to do, I have a rowing machine in my house, and I'm obsessed with rowing because it's just a cardio workout without putting a lot of strain on your body. So those are two of my favorite things to do, probably where I spend most of my time in my home.
I'm old. I focus on my breathing when I'm walking up a flight of stairs. So I actually do practice my breathing when I'm walking upstairs, because that's when most people lose their breath. So I want to actually focus on it. But
yeah,
I am still old, though.
The main tactic that I've learned too is, and I learned this from a vocal coach in college, when you're working on breathing techniques, your exhale has to be longer than your inhale. And that's how you keep your nervous system kind of calm. Once your nervous system gets worked up, it's over. Downhill from there. So making sure that your exhales are longer than your inhales. So I know people probably make fun of me if they see me backstage in a show, but I'm quite literally counting my inhales and my exhales just to keep my nervous system calm. And because not only am I performing very difficult songs vocally, high energy songs, but I'm also doing it in heels and probably a tight dress. So it's all of those things combined that you have to really focus on, and really just be in the moment and focus on all of the things that have built you to be stronger to do this along the way.
Vocalists all have a lot of different routines that they do before shows, so I'm sure people are used to it at this point. All right, him, Jim, sir, the one she calls him. What do you do to stay in shape before these shows?
round is a shape.
Somebody told me that today. I said I need to get in shape. They said, what? Round is a shape?
Keeping up with her keeps me in shape. She keeps me moving, for sure. A lot of my activity is setting up equipment, making sure everything's in place and ready for the show, getting things to and from. It's a lot more demanding than physically than you might think. We own all of our own equipment, so it is a lot. It's a lot, between PA and racks, and we also have a video wall that we use. That's a lot of equipment, a lot of loading. So that's where the majority of my exercise comes from. I make no effort to walk on a treadmill or do anything like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you, buddy.
I run to the door sometimes to get a pizza.
I don't run. I stroll to the door to get that pizza. No, absolutely. Well, all right, you mentioned the backdrop you have there and the screen. I mean, you guys have a very impressive setup for a band that's still fairly young in the career. I know, Jessica, you mentioned why and stuff, how you came about, but let's talk about the band specifically, why it came about, why we think it's necessary now.
So, as she mentioned, we also perform as a variety cover band called Hi-Fi Honey. We've been doing that for about 6 years.
6 years today, actually.
Today is
this
already
is
That's why we booked this, yeah.
yeah,
exactly.
This is our 6-year anniversary.
Exactly. Actually, I started that band probably a year prior to that with a completely different lineup. And it just kind of felt that it wasn't meeting the expectations that I had. So then we needed to make some lineup changes. And then Jessica came into the picture, and that kind of jump-started everything. From that point on, we pretty much played nonstop as often as possible. And that's what we've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years. And then about a year ago or so, we really started to get to the point where we kind of felt like Hi-Fi Honey had reached as much as it can do as a cover band. You kind of get to a glass ceiling of what you can make financially and how far you can travel outside of your hometown and still make it financially feasible before you're stepping into another band's territory.
There are cover bands everywhere.
Yeah, we were just another cover band, and we knew that. And so we wanted to expand and push things to be a little bit more, not only for the ability to play farther away from home, but primarily financially, because tribute bands, they just make more money.
Can I tell them a story about why we decided with the hate comment for Carrie Underwood?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll tell you like I guess kind of what like really pushed us forward with this. And I've never like told this story or talked about this, and I don't even think like people close to me really know what kind of like shifted everything into gear. But we at one point had a pretty solid contract as our cover band for a pretty well-known restaurant, high-end, we're talking $100 to $200 per plate per person, very high-end, like you walk in, you're, playing in a $1 million stage. I mean, it was pretty intense. And to be quite fair, like we were never the fit from the beginning. It was immediate. Like I'm grateful for the opportunities, and I'm grateful that they kind of hand selected us from a festival and said, we want you to play. But, we were who we were, and the songs that we sang were exactly what they saw us when they booked us. And one thing that actually caused us to walk away from that contract was a patron left a comment that said, this does not fit the vibe of this restaurant. It's like Carrie Underwood walked in here and started singing, it's like jazz music or something, which we don't even play jazz music. And at this specific venue, we actually didn't play any Carrie Underwood music at their request. They gave us specific songs to play, which really didn't fit our vibe or, what fit us well. But when we were presented with that, it was meant to be a diss in a way, but my response was, well, that's a huge compliment. She's a great vocalist. I'm honored that somebody thinks that, one, that I look like her, that I sound like her. Like, my goodness, you don't get much more complimentary than that. They did not see it that way. So at that point, we decided to part ways, which was totally fine, because at the end of the day, it wasn't really, I was miserable. I was so miserable, and people could, whenever my friends would come or my family would come, they could see it on my face that I was kind of just becoming a shell of myself. And while they were great paying gigs and it was a great contract, it pushed me so far out of wanting to do this that I almost quit. I mean, this was almost it for me. And so that comment like really fueled me to say, all right, well, if you're going to use that as something negative against me, and you're coming to me saying this is a negative, I'm going to take that, I'm going to turn it into a business opportunity. And we did, and it's been the most profitable diss/compliment that I've received.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the way it works. You don't have to fight back with words or anything. You just show them how it's done. You just put an end to it.
Yeah, and then we also do a Taylor Swift tribute as well called Long Live. So I get to play Carrie and then Taylor sometimes.
All right, so I've got questions now.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with this. Have you ever thought about doing original music?
I did original music for many years. I put out some CDs and played that circuit and did pretty well at it from a local perspective, but I kind of got to a point where I wanted more than I was getting from that. I wanted to be able to play it often, and I wanted to be able to do it and make money. And being the one that kind of started the band, ran the band, wrote the songs, I was also the one flipping the bill for everything. So I was losing money constantly. Yeah, you get something from it. I can hold up a CD and say, this represents a year of my life. This represents something that I put my heart and soul into.
Right.
So you have something to show for it in the long run, but it left a lot to be desired from the standpoint of weekly fulfillment, because it was a lot more of a job where, you were constantly fighting to book shows, and then you weren't playing a whole night by yourself. You had to try to line up other bands to open for you and do gig swaps and things like that. It was a constant struggle. And I mean, it was just more work than it was worth to me at the end of the day. I wanted to be able to make a call and book 2 or 3 shows throughout the year and know that my calendar is packed within the first couple months of the year and not have to scrape and deal with other bands, because that's an entirely different aggravation, trying to organize events with other musicians.
Sure. Well, that's a good point, too. I mean, people don't realize the difference between just playing original music to covers. So did you find it sounds as if you found it to be a relief when you switched from originals to covers. Is that a true statement?
It's a bit of a relief. It's more challenging. I think what I found with playing original music, writing all of that, you are very in tune with your comfort zone. Like, I wrote what came naturally. And being in a cover band, especially a tribute band, you're forced to get out of your comfort zone. And so it makes you a better player. You're learning styles and songs and textures and tones that you wouldn't otherwise, you wouldn't do that when you were writing your own stuff. So it was challenging there. I looked at it as more of it helped me grow as a musician, because it was forcing me to take on things that I wouldn't have done otherwise. I've done many cover bands over the years of different styles, and the one thing about when I started Hi-Fi Honey, the goal was to not necessarily play what I wanted to play. It was to play what would be marketable to the largest number of people. So it meant a wide variety. So that really helped keep me interested. I also enjoyed the challenge of, okay, I've never heard this song before. Let me see if I can figure out how they're doing this, how I can recreate this, and then taking it and following it through to where it becomes successful on stage and everybody enjoys it. There's a satisfaction in that you get more so than just playing something that would come natural to you. I came from an 80s rock background, so...
You and me both, buddy.
What's that?
He said you and me both.
Oh, yeah.
And I lived in Nashville for a little bit, and I just watched people grind. I mean, some of the best songwriters are some of my best friends, and they're incredible vocalists, but they, make their money writing songs for other people. And that just was never really what I wanted to do. And I think that when you get more out of being on stage, I think, of course, playing your own music has an incredible reward, but that doesn't always work out for everyone. So I think being in a cover band and doing the tributes that we do, I think is a great outlet for the performance side of us.
Very fascinating to me, this whole tribute thing. You were talking about the struggle of booking the band, and that's a big struggle that people have all the time. And traditionally, it's easier to book a cover band than it is an original band. Original bands, you have to have that passion, that drive, because that passion to be a rock star is what it takes for that band to survive. So was it easier for you to book the cover band, and were you making more money doing so?
It was definitely easier to book a cover band, for sure. There's a completely different music scene for original music. The venues are not the same.
The following
the
is
following
different.
is completely different. It's a different world, and it's the same with tribute bands as well. I've gotten so much experience with booking a cover band, but taking all of that knowledge into a tribute band, not all of it lines up. It's a new challenge, a new struggle. The way the money works, the way the booking works, everything about it is a completely different animal. So you've got, I had years of experience doing original music, then years doing cover music, and then now the tribute stuff, and it's three completely different animals. Yeah, it's financially doing covers. I make more in one show than I made in a year playing original music.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that always kind of annoyed me personally, because I would spend so much time writing all of the music, and I would be the primary songwriter, and that would include lyrics-based drums, the basic drum patterns, and hand it to everybody else as a basically completed song. And then the rest of the guys, they're essentially cover players. They're essentially playing covers by somebody that's not famous, So it's like, that's what I found was a lot of original musicians, they don't have a lot of respect for people in cover bands, but then it's like most of you are playing covers by people that are unknown. But I don't know, that's a different topic. Yeah. Make a lot more known covers.
All right, so let's transition into the world of being a tribute act. I had Steph Paynes on the show. She's the guitar player for the band Led Zeppelin, who's an all-female Led Zeppelin tribute band. Very cool band.
They're really good. They're really, really good.
Yeah, they're very good. I like them a lot. I had a chance to see them at Ludlow Garage just recently, so that was a cool venue to go check them out at. But when she was on the show, she talked about being in this band, and she says she does not call it a tribute band. She feels as if she is channeling the band. She is the band. Do you ever have an issue calling it a tribute band?
Not so far, no. Either with the Taylor or the Carrie, we haven't had an issue calling it a tribute band. And in fact, I remember seeing an ABBA tribute, not maybe a few years ago, and the show, I don't remember which group, I know that there are several, but it was called, the name of the tribute show, a tribute to the music of ABBA. And I remember thinking, that's, to me, it's kind of like you're paying tribute to the artist that you're I don't know, you're paying tribute to the artist that you enjoy, that, you know, you connect with their music. And I think that that's something that was really important to me with tribute bands. A lot of people suggested, oh, do an 90s pop princess, a lot of people suggested different tributes for us, but to me, to the point of your previous guest, you have to be able to channel what you're doing, and if it's not authentic, true fans of that artist will clock it very quickly. I mean, we've seen several Taylor Swift tributes. We've seen one that's very good that we actually just saw at the Ludlow Garage a couple weeks ago. It's called Taylorville, and I adore the singer of that band because she truly channels Taylor. But there are several other Taylor Swift tributes, some that we've been able to pop in and see, and you can tell that the person that is actually playing Taylor has no idea what they're doing. The movements, the outfits don't match the era. I mean, little things that as a Taylor Swift fan, you clock very quickly. So we don't have issues calling it a tribute band, but I could definitely see where that would be misconstrued.
Well, a lot of what we're there's a difference in being a tribute or just playing the music of a certain artist and calling it a tribute. We're actually going through the motions of looking the part and trying to convey the show the same way that they would. The rest of the band, we're lucky because nobody really knows very much what Carrie's band looks like or Taylor Swift's band, so we can just all wear black and hang out in the back. She gets all the work. She's got to do all the costume changes, and
Which is awesome, by
the
the way.
mannerisms and the dance moves and all of that. It's way more work for her in that respect. But because she knows all of that stuff, it makes it a lot easier to pass it off as a tribute because we're going through the motions of recreating what the artist would. We're not just up there playing their songs dressed as
Sure.
girls off the street.
Jessica, are these two artists that you were fans of?
Yes.
Big fans?
Yes. Huge fans.
Okay.
Yeah. If I had to pick, I'm probably Carrie Underwood first, Taylor Swift second, and then I love Kelsey Ballerini, who is just another country pop artist, I guess.
Not just another. She's awesome.
Yeah. I'm actually seeing her in February in Columbus. I really connect to not only the songwriting and the lyrics in the songs, but how they make other people feel. The happiness, like there's no better feeling. We played a show at JD Legends, back in like October, September.
Okay.
And I remember like sitting in the green room, and a friend of mine that was there just doing like social media backstage stuff, she comes back to the green room and she's like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you're going to do this. Those kids are just screaming. Like there are adults in full on Taylor outfits. I don't know how, like my heart is beating so fast for you. And there's no better feeling than walking out on that stage and seeing like moms and daughters, and you see like these moments that people get to like be together and they get to come together and they get to love music. You see people making friends with others that they've never met before. And that's the true, like, to me, that's what music should be about. And I feel like that's what both of these artists encompass. They encompass these atmospheres where everybody is loved, seen, heard, welcomed, and you're just there to have fun. And so I think that that's what makes me the biggest fan. I got to see Taylor Swift's tour 3 times, the Eras Tour.
That's a hard one to get.
Yeah. And I've seen, for Christmas 2 years ago, he got me a front row seat to Carrie Underwood in Cincinnati, which I was just absolutely enamored. Like I feel like I didn't move the whole time. I was just looking up at them. And then we actually went to Vegas when we decided to get serious about the tribute. We flew out to Vegas and we had like 4th row seats, 4th row center to her Vegas show. And just like that feeling that you get when you're watching something, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And you look around and you see the people around you and how incredible they think it is. And it makes you want to work that much harder.
Those two particular artists, they are very different types of artists. Similar in ways, of course, but very different. Which one do you find harder vocally to sing?
Taylor.
Really? Why is that?
It's a lot of words and a lot of dancing on top of a lot of words. And then if you ever listen to her music and you really deep dive, it's very layered. if you really listen to the lyrics and the recording of that, and you really start to strip it down, there's 5 or 6 layers of vocals in there. So one, it's finding which vocal track fits you the best, and what you can sell and what you can be successful at. But then it's also finding backup singers, which we have 2 backup singers for the Taylor tribute, 1 backup singer for the Carrie tribute. But it's finding 2 backup singers that can cover opposites of what you're doing. You know, if you're sitting in the middle, one has to be able to go above you, one has to be able to go below you. And then on top of that, she's very lyrical in what she does. The lyrics are written a certain way, and if you are any type of Taylor Swift fan, you're going to know every word to every song. And if you mess up one small little lyric, everybody's going to know it. So I think it's really just focusing and repetition, constant repetition with singing these songs, vocal rehearsals with the 2 vocal backing vocalists. It's a lot of work outside of just the actual performance.
The Taylor show also has a lot more action. There's a lot more movement and a lot more costume changes. So it's a lot more physically demanding as well.
Jim, sir, did you ever think you were going to be a manager?
Pretty much every band that I've ever been involved with, I've kind of ran them. I've not really been very good at just settling in and letting somebody else take the reins.
Some people would call that a control freak. Are you a control freak?
Very much so. Yes, I'm absolutely a control freak.
You and me both, buddy.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed. That's how things get done.
I'll see you at the next meeting. No, I mean, it's true. I mean, I grew up, I was a bass player, so I'm not a very good one. So in order for me to earn my keep, I had to do everything else. That's when I realized I was meant for behind the scenes and not to be the one on stage, and became an engineer instead of a musician. But that's all right. So let's talk about your upcoming show. You have an upcoming show at Laurie's Roadhouse, and every time I mention Laurie's Roadhouse, I just cannot go without saying that this place is massive. I mean, it is a massive venue, multiple stages. Are you excited to be performing at Laurie's? Is this your first time?
We've done private events at Laurie's before, and to your point, I mean, it's a massive venue, and it really is state of the art. There is nothing there that is not, if it's not brand new, it's very, very, very up to date, state of the art. And we really like the staff there. They know what they're doing, and they know how to run a business, which is so important. And you'd be surprised at how often we come across the opposite. So we really enjoy playing there. Like I said, we played private events for a large company here in Cincinnati. And it's just one of the best stages to play on. You know, when you're talking about sound equipment, you know that you're going to sound phenomenal. You know that, you know, there are sometimes when we walk into venues and the equipment's already there. And sometimes I get a little worrisome when I know that the equipment is less to par than what we play with, what we own, or, you know, maybe it's older, maybe it's really not equipped to handle a full band or what we do. That's when I start to, you know, get a little worrisome, because you're only as good as you sound. But with Laurie's, we never have to stress about that. And then also, it's a massive venue, so nobody feels like they're, you know, bumping into each other or crowded. And yeah, they do things so well. I mean, they actually, I think, maybe are still in charge of, or a sponsor of, the large music festival that I go to each year here called Voices of America. I'm not sure. I think at one point they were a sponsor. Maybe they might still be a sponsor. I actually saw the owner of Laurie's there this past year. So I think they have something to do with it. But they know how to do business. They have a great production team. So super excited to be bringing this show to there. We've been talking about it for a while.
Nice. All right, let's go back to the vocals for a second, the challenges you have with these artists. Do you sing these songs in the original key?
Majority, yes. There's only 2 that we take half step down.
Yeah, I think so.
Which 2 are those?
Blown Away and Wasted.
All right. And is that just because of the range?
No, so there is actually like a double layer vocal part in Blown Away. And if you watch Carrie Underwood live, actually neither her or her backup singer sing that. It's like an echo, like the Blown Away echo right after the first chorus. And neither of them ever do that part if you watch it live. It's recorded, and I can see why. It's very high, very hard to hit, and it's very breathy, and then to jump right back into a low part after that. But I didn't want to have to record something and then have to use a backing track. I really wanted to focus on, we have this backing vocalist, let's make every effort to do everything live. So that's why we took that down. Wasted, we took that a half step down. I think same thing. It was in the very end of the song. There's a very breathy, like high point, and the double layer one of us would have had to go up kind of out of our range, so we took it a half step down, which she actually plays it a half step down live.
You can see, if you watch some of her live videos, you can see her struggle with that one a little bit times too.
Yeah, and she takes Wasted a half step down live. That's one thing that we caught in Vegas, was that it's a half step down, and she does a very small part of Wasted too. It's not even a minute of the song.
Oh, she's just piecing it together.
Yeah, she does kind of like a medley. Thank you. I always confuse those words. As a musician, that's awful.
That's what managers are for. They help you out.
Yes. But she does a medley of kind of through the years of her music, or at least the show that we saw she did Wasted in that. She changes it up each show, but she kind of takes you back to the very beginning of her career and kind of walks through in about a 5.5 minute medley.
I want to start winding down here. We do this thing here we call Unsung Heroes, where we take a moment to shine the light on somebody who's worked behind the scenes or somebody who may have supported you along the way. Is there somebody specific that you could, shine a little light on?
Yes. I only have, I have a couple people, but Joellen and Mike Whetstone, they actually run an organization called Cincy Local Music here in Cincinnati. I met them when I had nothing, no band. It was just me and my guitar. I met them at some open mic out in the middle of nowhere in Plainsfield, Ohio, at a place called Plain Folk Cafe. Pleasant Plain, Ohio. I don't even know where I live.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so I met them at an open mic, and I was the last one to go, and they were the only two people that stayed to watch. And at that time, I was just I just moved back from Nashville. I was just trying to get my feet wet and playing live again and playing by myself. And I didn't talk to them that night, but as I started to grow with not only my acoustic, but the band, we also play at a theme park called Kings Island, and they'll come and support us there. But they support, every single night they are out watching a local musician live, or they're at an open mic, supporting an open mic that's run by a local musician, whether it's original music or cover bands. They're always supporting us. And Joellen actually helps me. Some shows, she'll come backstage and help me with my quick changes. And she's really good at it. She'll study, especially with Taylor. I think I do 12 costume changes in an hour and a half of a Taylor show. And Carrie, I think I only have 7 costume changes, but she will study whatever. I type everything out and I color code everything. And then I even have color stickers on shoes that go with which outfit. So I try to make it as organized as possible.
Job within itself.
Yes, it is. Oh yeah, it's a total, that's a whole week's worth of work before the show. But yeah, she will study it and just know exactly what's going on in the show. And they are just two people that have just supported us as a band.
If you see any of our videos, our promo stuff, most of that was recorded by your husband, Mike. They've been invaluable to all of our projects. I don't know of anybody that's more supportive than they are. They'll do a lot behind the scenes, and you'll see on social media that they'll post different events that they're at, but they're still doing other things that you don't even hear about. They've filmed entire shows for us, and I'll go over and pick up SD cards and come home, and they've been insanely helpful.
A big thanks to Jim and Jessica for taking the time to share the stories with us, and thank you for taking the time to hang with me here. As always, I really do appreciate it. If you know anyone that would enjoy this episode, please be sure to share it. You can do that and find the links to everything mentioned over at jfranzy.com/episode 115. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Jay Franzy Show. Make sure you visit us at jfranzy.com. Follow, connect, and say hello. This episode has been brought to you by VR Knives, your source for 100% custom knives made by a true rock star. So, if you're in the market for a new piece of art, reach out to VR Knives. 407-421-5528. 407-421-5528.